You are now listening to the Festus Show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to the lap of the extra mile for today, November 3rd, 2022. And I think at this point, we are all still trying to process exactly what we saw during the Xfinity 500 on Saturday, or on Sunday, with one of the greatest playoff moves I have ever seen. And to help me talk about all of that, of course, are my co-hosts, Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward.
How's it going tonight?
Hello.
How's everybody doing? Michael, you good?
Yeah, my stomach is giving me it's giving me the Bonato treatment.
Okay. Well, welcome in. If you're in the chat, make sure you get your comments in. We will read them as the show goes on. Only Formula 1 and NASCAR today. Not a lot to get into, though, because not a lot happened in the Mexico Grand Prix. And it's a nice track. It's a nice atmosphere. God, they got to do something with that place to get the racing better, because it was not good. But I think now is a good chance.
I think it just needs a remodel.
Yeah, but I think it's also time to talk about the fact that the Formula 1 2022 cars, as far as the racing product, did not do what we were promised, to be honest.
No, it did not. Well, you can kind of factor that up into maybe like engine mapping and stuff like that.
Yeah, but even there, we were promised that there was going to be more overtaking and dirty air was going to be less of an issue. And it felt like we were in the same position we've been in since we went to the V8 cars, where the dirty air is so bad that the only way you can make passes is with DRS. And you kind of see where people keep saying, we don't need DRS anymore. We don't need or we shouldn't have DRS. We shouldn't have
DRS. DRS is the only way you're going to get an overtake.
DRS is the only reason that some of these races have not been parades. And Mexico would have been a straight-up parade if we didn't have DRS.
It almost was a parade with it.
And that's the problem. Even with DRS, it didn't work. So I guess before we even get into what little happened in the race,
I was thinking like maybe we make these cars less aero dependent, more power dependent.
That's what these changes were supposed to do, and it didn't work.
I don't know, man. Like I just feel like it's just kind of the nature of the sport. Like we make faster cars, but the fallout from that is, we can't, race as much. You know what I mean? Like the cost of speed is also the cost of racing. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then what are we doing here?
I don't know. Maybe F1 needs to devolve a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really don't know. Go ahead.
I hate to say it, but it's like maybe it does need to devolve a little bit.
I mean, I hate to play this card, but maybe they need to go the Indy. I mean, it would kill the entire purpose of Formula 1, but maybe they need to go more towards the IndyCar route and standardize some of this stuff.
Well, they did a little bit with some components are standardized, but we also had issues with those at the beginning of the season too.
Yeah.
So I'd worry about that. Getting to the point where, similar to NASCAR, where you just go down to your local Walmart and pick up a new whatever. I can't even think of anything specific, but
well, I mean, people complain about that, but look at IndyCar, completely spec car. The last few years has put on some of the greatest racing in open wheel. So I think we can poo-poo the spec racing thing all we want, but when you get it right, it works. And I mean, okay, so NASCAR isn't, I guess you can't call it spec now that they're doing the car. It does look different, but the parts are all made by third parties and they just put it together. the first year we've had some growing pains. I want to see how it works in NASCAR year 2, 3, 4, 5, and how this goes and see how it improves the racing. I mean, this year was amazing, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, an amazing move, but Formula One, they're trying to fix the racing, and everything they've done while leaving the team's freedom hasn't worked. And I mean, you don't want to go down that road because it kills the essence of Formula One, but what more do you have? I mean, they're taking the tire blankets away in a couple of years. I really don't think that's going to change much of anything other than how long it takes to get the tires hot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that Formula One has become aero dependent, and you just can't take that away anymore.
Yeah.
Because the teams are always going to find their way back there, whether within the rule, it's just going to be, new interpretations of the rules. But arrows here, and it's not going anywhere, short of going full spec, which I'm sure nobody wants at the end of the day. And us as fans, we might say we want something like that, but at the end of the day, we don't want that. And some people that like Formula One don't necessarily even like racing. They like engineering.
Mm-hmm.
They could care less that it's cars, but the innovation that each team has and seeing what they do is exciting for some people. And I mean, I like seeing what the teams come up with. I'm not necessarily like the type of person that watches it for the innovation and engineering, but I would be disingenuous if I said that it wasn't something that I do enjoy about the sport. I do like seeing what the teams can do, and seeing how they manage their resources, um, and get through the season, even on things like catering. Everything has to be accounted for, and there's something for it.
Well, we'll see what happens. We can get into what happened with the race, which was Lewis Hamilton had a chance to get the win after Checo had an issue on the pit stop, but Mercedes is in love with those hard tires, and yet again it bit them. Verstappen on the mediums ends up taking the win. Verstappen breaks the all-time season mark for wins in a season, and yet again the tire strategy for Mercedes leaves you scratching your heads.
Did you see the thing that I sent you from Tommy from WTF1 about Max's lap times?
I did, yes.
Isn't that crazy?
He's Mr. Consistency, I'll tell you that.
And I mean, when you something like that, I mean, it almost makes it for where Lewis, I mean, Red Bull tells Max, you can go to the end of the race if you keep your lap time in the 122s, and he hits every single lap from lap like 27 to the end of the race in a 122. And something like that. I mean, Lewis on those hard tires, they were really good for the first probably 10 to 13 laps of that stint. Those tires were good, and Mercedes looked like geniuses. They really did. And then they just stalled out, and it was almost instant. It was like, I don't remember exactly what lap it was, but it was like lap 12. Mercedes is looking like they just made the call that wins them the race. Lap 13, everybody's like, oh, they're in trouble.
Those hard tires don't keep the grip for very long, because they're supposed to be long lasting but have less grip. But when they fall off, they die. They just die. So most teams have tried to forget about them, but Mercedes, they don't have the pace. So their whole mantra this year has just been, okay, we're going to try to outlast everybody on the tires. Well, you can't do that on a hard tire that's more like a donut than a racing tire. And they've tried it 4 or 5 times this year. It has failed 4 or 5 times this year. I mean, we're at the end of the season. It doesn't even matter. But at some point, you've got to recognize you're just doing the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing and expecting different results every time.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe they're just in a situation kind of like Ferrari and Red Bull, and I mean those teams seem like they're kind of like, okay, we're on 2023 now. Especially Ferrari, they turn their engines down, um which was the speculation, at least, was that they turned the engines down for reliability. And it seems like they're just ready for this season to be over. They're trying to get through as cheaply as possible
Mm-hmm.
and just be done. Ferrari have thrown in the towel, and Mercedes is right there knocking on the door to take second in the constructors. I mean, they're only short 40 points. Um, and with, I think we got 2 races left this season.
I mean, they can get those points.
Yeah.
Hamilton and Russell finished second, fourth. Sainz and Leclerc finished fifth and sixth. So there's a chance, but they got to keep pushing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Brazil as a spot where Mercedes can come in and snag the win from Red Bull. I mean, Mercedes really had pace at Mexico. Um, Brazil's not all that different. It certainly is a little bit. They've got, one massively long straightaway that's not going to be advantageous for the Mercedes, but almost everywhere else on the track is. Um, and it's kind of similar to Mexico in a way. Um, but Mercedes, if they can get their tire strategy figured out, which maybe they need to listen to the drivers, because Lewis said when they were going to the hards, like, I don't know about that, guys. Like, that doesn't. And George Russell wanted to come in. He had the hards, and he said, I want to come in for mediums. And the team was like, nope, just stay out there. Like, you're going to finish fourth. Just stay out there. That's the best. That's all they tell him. It's just. But George Russell wanted off. Lewis probably would have came in if he could have. Mercedes, if they figure out their tire strategy, I think they're a favorite for Brazil.
I think the issue with it's funny, is you look at Ferrari and Mercedes, and you've got two sides of the same coin. One team changes strategies far too often, and one team just refuses to change strategy. And both efforts have cost them points and cost them wins.
I'm pretty sure it was like lap 8 during the Mexican Grand Prix that over the radio you heard Ferrari talking about Plan E. E is an echo. And that was
You
like
should not
lap
be,
8.
you shouldn't be that deep into your plan book 8 laps in.
You should have Plan A, 1 stop, Plan B, 2 stop, and that should be your plan book.
Yeah.
Because I assure you that most other teams are going in with 2 plans.
Yeah, once you get under C, it's not going to work unless something crazy happens.
Correct.
And Ferrari hasn't figured that out. But hey, Verstappen picks up 14 wins, new high watermark in Formula One for most wins in a season. Just caps off what's been a dominating year for Red Bull and everyone there with that team this year.
Yeah, he grabs the record in 20 races, and I'm sure, just like everything else that he's accomplished in his career, people are going to throw an asterisk next to it, and that's okay. Um,
Of no fault
he-
of his own, of course. Unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, he got 14 races and 20 races. That's people who are online talking about how it's not even comparable because Michael's season was only 17 races. I am very certain that none of the people online chirping in Twitter on the Red Bull Twitter account have ever won a Formula One race. So I'm not really sure that I'm going to take their professional word for it that that is in fact an asterisk worthy record to have.
Yes. It definitely is a record that stands. And then we'll see what happens we'll see what happens tomorrow, or not happens the rest of the season if he wins out, gets the 16 and 22. But it'll be interesting to watch, see what he does at the end of the year. But it's been a great season for Red Bull and Max Verstappen, and I am hoping that the next question would be, as we get Michael back. Michael, we're just talking about the dominance that has been Red Bull. Do you think Verstappen wins out?
I mean, yeah, nobody else really seems to be able to stop Red Bull right now, so I don't see why you wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see Mercedes try to pick up the win, at least get Lewis one so he can continue his winning in Formula One streak, but the way it's going, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, I think it could happen. I just think that what Mercedes needs to do is take into consideration what their drivers want from tires. Right? Yes. Right now, 2 races to go left in the season. Just I'm not saying go full on Ferrari and ask Charles Leclerc what kind of tire he wants, but say to Lewis, hey, there's no, what do you want? And maybe it's before the race. Say, hey, what do you want? And I know what he's going to say is chuck the hard tires right out of here. Don't even ever consider putting them on my car. Mm-hmm. And maybe Lewis is going to say he wants soft mediums, and I'm very certain he doesn't want hards on his car again this year.
They've got to make that car work better with medium tires so that they don't have to even consider going to that damn hard tire. Because that tire is just a joke. It's been a joke. Whatever the hard compound is at a track has been a joke for the last several years. And it doesn't help that the Pirelli compounds are already hard as it is, but it's just a tire that doesn't work. And I would not want to be stuck on it as a race tire at all. I'd rather go soft, medium, and take my chances than ever have to drive the hard tire at all.
And it goes back to going into the weekend with a plan. I mean, you can't use up your tires before race day. And so Lewis needs to tell the team going into the weekend, this is what I want. This is what I want for the race. I want 2 mediums and a set of softs. We'll practice on hards or whatever we want to do, but I want a new set of softs and a new set of mediums for the race.
Yep. We'll see if they take that under advisement. The next race will be next weekend, the Mexican Grand Prix. We will preview that race before we wrap up our season here.
Wait, the Mexican Grand Prix?
Or not Mexican Grand Prix. Sorry, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We might still be in Mexico because there's some issues in Brazil right now with the election, but we'll see how that goes. But either way, there will be an F1 race next week. We will talk about that before we end our show. And we're going to take a quick break. Adam Karnick asked a great question in the chat here. So should we all be going out and adding wheels to our doors now? I'm going to explain what he means by that. And we're going to talk about the greatest Game 7 playoff moment we have ever seen in the NASCAR playoffs. We'll be right back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
No.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on iSports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, folks, remember, if you want to be a part of the iSports Radio family, make sure you get involved with the Patreon. $5 a month gets you a shout-out on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include access to the Podcasting University, free swag from iSports Radio, and a chance to be on our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you so much for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports, and thank you so much to Bay Area Raised, MLO's Great, Key to the Gate, and anonymous Patreon user for being supporters of the program. So we're going to get into it now with NASCAR, the Xfinity 500. There wasn't a lot to talk about between laps 1 to 495. We're just going to jump to what y'all want to talk about, to what everyone has been talking about, to what video game websites have been talking about. Mr. Ross the Boss Chastain.
Hail Melon.
Pulls the most 1 million IQ play I've ever seen in a NASCAR race. They're trying to set the scene for you. The last lap, Chastain needs 2 spots to get into the championship for this weekend. Denny Hamlin's already going through turn 3, battling with Brad Keselowski. That is important later. Chastain just says screw it. Puts the car intentionally into the wall, pins the throttle, shifts into 5th, rides the wall around turn 3 and 4 like it's the last lap of a racing anime, comes off the turn, passes Denny Hamlin, gets into the championship 4. Was the most incredible walk-off playoff moment I have ever seen in my life. Michael, I guess we'll start with you. What did you think when you saw it?
I was in disbelief when he tried that and made it work. My second thought was immediately reminded me of the older Gran Turismo games, where if you drove on an oval, you can hug the car against the wall, and you can just speed along the wall.
You can also do it in iRacing, although it's actually a term of service violation to do the wall ride in iRacing. You will get banned. It was incredible seeing it. And when it first happens, you don't register what exactly he's doing. Because I just see Chastain coming off turn 4. I'm like, how did he get up there? And then they show the replay.
Why is his car smoking?
Yeah, it's like, why is the car smoking? Why is he in the wall? What did we miss? And then we see the replay, and the one thing I will say, it took about 9 or 10 times for me to comprehend it. And Chris, I'll just throw it to you. You know, he's going 30 miles an hour faster than anybody through that corner. It didn't look real. I thought they sped up the tape.
Yeah. It does look fake when you watch it. From some angles, it really looks like fake. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of like an example, but I can't even think of one.
Reality sped up. Like it's like he sped up while reality stood still. It's like he time traveled slightly.
Yeah, it's like the Flash.
Yeah.
Like he's just going that fast and everybody else is staying still, and it was incredible. And I don't want to change off the subject, but what did you guys think of Kyle Larson's comments about how that move is an embarrassment to the sport?
I wanted to get to that, and we can get to that right now. He doesn't have a leg to stand on after what he tried at Darlington a year ago. And second, that move, and I think Dale Earnhardt Jr., said it the best on Sunday. Who wants it more? Like, what are you willing to do to get into the championship for? What are you willing to subject your body to make sure your team is fighting for a championship? And Ross Chastain looked at the turn 3 and 4 wall and said, I'm going to put my right front into this wall, pin this throttle, hope to God I don't hit the crossover gate and cause a bigger conundrum. And I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to try to give my team a chance to race for a championship at Phoenix. He did it. It worked. And to be honest, I think Kyle Larson could just take those comments and shove it, because at that point, it was about what are you willing to do to win a championship. And if we know anything about Ross Chastain from his myriad of controversies this year, he is willing to go 150% at all times. And that's exactly what he did on Sunday afternoon.
I just think he's earned just so many fans from doing that move. Like, It's something you wouldn't expect. Like a normal driver, you would just say, all right, well, I'm too far away. I can't do anything now. But he just decides to just full throttle, full send. It's incredible. Ayrton Senna would be proud. Dale Earnhardt would be proud. Who other? Am I missing someone? Ratzenberger would be proud.
The thing that I think is that I have to think that every driver in the NASCAR grid has thought to themselves at some point, I can do it if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's one of those things where everybody's thought, like, if I need to, I could do it. And Ross is just the first one that said, hold my beer. I'm getting this done.
I believe the correct term is hold my melon.
Yeah.
Hold my watermelon and watch this.
Actually, it's protect your melon.
Yeah.
That's what he always runs, the protect your melon thing when he's in New York for seatbelt awareness.
Yes.
Protect your melon.
And the funny part about that whole move, not to switch subjects, is apparently it's been discussed by Joey Logano's team as far back as 2018 of trying it, but this would not have worked with the Gen 6 with the metal body and how it crumples, because the side of these cars don't crumple that badly in the next gen. That is the only reason this worked. Like, it was a stars-aligned moment. And just to talk about how big this move was for NASCAR. As of today, that video has 10.9 million views on Twitter. That is the highest viewed video for NASCAR probably this year since the 500.
Yeah, I think I think it was more than 500.
Yeah, their video after that, which is like Kyle talking about it, only drew in 27.7 thousand. And they haven't had a video touch close to 5 million since. It ended up on ESPN. On NFL Football Sunday, Ross Chastain was number 1 in top place.
A gaming website by the name of Kotaku even put it up there.
They had to change their headline as well, unfortunately. Somebody got a stick in the mud, probably illegal. But I loved the original headline where they said race car driver pulls video game ass.
One of my favorite things about that move was I loved hearing the reactions from all the drivers.
My favorite one is Eddie DeHaan, though, Chase Elliott's spotter, because he's like giving Chase telling Chase outside. Then he just pauses and just goes, "What in the hell?"
Yeah, I saw. I heard.
He had no idea what was going on.
My favorite was Chase Briscoe. He was like, "Whoa, that was the coolest thing."
And then you got Kyle Larson. It's an embarrassment to the sport. Well, Kyle, we can think about something embarrassing you did not too long ago.
Oof.
Ooh.
See, I wasn't even going to go there.
I actually wasn't even. I was just like, I'm playing a game on my phone, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck you, Kyle Larson. I remember you doing something embarrassing not long ago.
Ooh.
Gonna have to put a coin in the swear jar there, but yeah, I don't think Larson has much to stand on with that. But Ross Chastain gained a lot of new fans. I was reading on Twitter people that have talked about they have been approached by people that have never even watched NASCAR that have asked them about this move, and they plan on tuning in this Sunday. Like, this could be one of those moments where you could start a little bit of a boom with fans by bringing people to see just what is Ross Chastain going to be willing to do this year or this week to win this championship.
That gets me into like sideshow territory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What's he willing to do this time? Well, there's only so much. But
I also like the ruling that NASCAR made. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's the first we've ever seen about it." Yeah, it's legal.
It's legal for now.
Yeah, I highly doubt.
Next year they're gonna make some changes.
Next year they're gonna be like, "Yeah, you can't do that."
They'll probably
for now
throw
is
a
definitely
caution.
the key.
Yeah, I think what they'll do next year, without really making rule changes, is they'll just throw a caution the minute they see somebody hit the wall like that. And to be fair, you could make an argument this should have been a caution, but I think everybody was just too stunned to act.
So there's something that we haven't talked about yet,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Christopher the Clutch Bell.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that's forgotten in all of this.
Yeah, Christopher. You know, it's funny, Chris. Me and you thought his championships hopes were over at
I did
Kansas.
too.
Well,
yeah, I thought it was over.
I knew he had to win. I really like Christopher Bell.
Yeah.
Like I really like him. Particularly like midgets, like when Chili Bowl comes around, like I'm watching Christopher Bell. That's my guy when it comes to like the Chili Bowl and anything really on the dirt. Actually, that's kind of weird as a Bowman fan, but like Christopher Bell's my like he's probably has a good shot at winning, whereas Bowman's there just to drink and have fun. But yeah, I really like Christopher Bell from his dirt, and it's just kind of transitioned over. And so I was actually my wife and I were talking about this. So I really like Ross Chastain because he's a farmer. I work on a farm. And I've been kind of following him, following his career, the ups and the downs, more downs than ups. I like Chase, and Joey's my wife's favorite driver. So like,
Mhm.
really, I can't lose. Like this is like short of Alex Bowman being here, like the best top four I could have asked for.
Yeah, this is a really I like this Final Four. This is great.
And there's nobody in here where you're just like, this is definitely the guy. All
No,
four of these guys, I can see any of these guys winning.
and I think no matter who wins this championship, I think you can be happy. I mean, there are some folks that are not going to like Joey Logano, and then there's this weird group of folks that just have an irrational hatred towards Chase Elliott for some reason. But I think the vast majority of NASCAR fans will be excited if at least three of these drivers wins, especially Ross Chastain. Like, that is my pick to win, by the way, is Chastain to get this championship done. But
Well, Christopher Bell's mine. I said whoever wins Martinsville is my pick.
yep, and I can understand that too.
Shoot, who do I go for? Part of me wants to. I want to see the 20 win the championship, so I really want to go Christopher Bell.
Yeah, and Christopher Bell, what a story it would be. 2 straight walk-off wins to get to this moment. Got caught up with some mess not of his own doing in Vegas. Had a disaster of a round of 12. Still made it. You know, it's not about how you start the rounds. It's about how you finish them.
Yep.
Another question I wanted to ask you guys is: are we going to talk about the Xfinity race beforehand?
Yeah, let's get into it. Oh, my God. I have been a Ty Gibbs defender for most of this season.
That ends today.
Yeah, that ended on Saturday. And like before I saw it, 'cause I was listening to it on the radio before I went in the house. I had tweeted out, you live by the bumper, you die by the bumper, because Brandon Jones had moved Ty Gibbs before, and then I saw it, and this is a difference of hearing it on radio and then seeing it on TV. Ty Gibbs did not give Brandon Jones a second of an opportunity to try to make that corner. He absolutely destroyed him. And then the celebration, I don't think he meant to compare himself to Jesus, but the way he said it rubbed people the wrong way. And I'm just at the moment where I'm at the same place with him where I am with Noah Gragson. Kid, you don't get it, and you need to get it before you get to the Cup Series, because they ain't going to take these shenanigans. Like, you can do that to Denny Hamlin if you want to. He's going to chase you around that racetrack the rest of the day.
Yeah, he already got it to Chastain.
Denny owes Chastain like 5, and he hasn't paid up yet.
Well, now they're starting to suspend people. So, and Denny has this. Denny likes to hold on to his stuff. No, he got him back once. He got him back once this year.
But he even said, but I guess that wasn't intentional, though.
Yeah.
But
well, you can't do it intentionally anymore, apparently.
Was that coffee?
No, it's water.
It's blurred out.
My background's blurred, and it probably should be blurred because it's the old Commanders.
It looks
cup.
It really looks like a coffee cup. I was like, you crazy man.
Yeah, no, I've drank.
It looks like a coffee cup. Michael, don't you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
It looks like a coffee cup.
Yeah, it's the old Commanders cup. I've blurred out my background.
Oh wait, now I can see. Now I saw it.
I've got a bunch of crap back here, so
we can talk about your good news in Washington this week too. After we do the NASCAR stuff.
Thank you, baby Jesus. We'll talk about that before we close, or briefly before we close out. But yeah, ironic because Ty Gibbs' grandfather used to coach that team. Ty doesn't get it.
I don't think a lot of these young drivers get it. I think
they don't. Go ahead.
I think it's been an issue for the last couple of years where these young veterans say that these new drivers lack respect, and it shows. They lack respect with the veterans. They lack respect with each other. We've seen that countless times this year.
Well, here's what I will say. Despite NASCAR, that consistency about intentionally wrecking lasting about a week, some of the veterans might have to take that week vacation just to show these youngins that you don't do this up here. You're going to have to start putting them in the wall again, for lack of a better word.
For real.
Now-
I mean, we're not gonna race. I wouldn't want to race anybody who's just gonna intentionally put me in the wall.
I have a hypothetical for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Let's say we're down into the closing 10 laps. Ross Chastain's leading this race, and Denny just sends him. Right? In the most obvious way. Is Denny suspended for the 500?
Denny's probably going to lose the championship and probably going to get suspended for the 5. I mean, they've got to suspend him.
Isn't Denny already out of the? Isn't Denny already out of the championship?
Denny's not in it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
he's
I don't know
out.
why I said lose the championship. I absolutely believe he would miss the first race of the season if I was doing it.
I mean, I could see him honestly not giving enough and just
He might miss more than that, given that he affected how the championship ends.
Like if Ross is out in the lead
missed too,
with like no chance of anybody else catching him, and Denny just hooks him, just sends him into the wall.
I mean, as long as he says I was looking at my gauges, then freaking Byron.
Yeah. I don't know.
By the way, that case still makes me angry.
It does. I think Hamlin is going to, unless Ross does something to him on Sunday, I think he's going to keep that in his pocket. But Brandon Jones, I absolutely believe, is going to send Ty Gibbs.
I would too.
I hope he does.
He's got it coming to him.
I hope he does.
And he's already signed his new contract for next year.
It's
with
bad
JRM
for me because I'm a Joe Gibbs fan. So just to see our one potential Joe Gibbs driver just send the other one, I'm just like, well, this is our future now.
Yeah.
Ty isn't confirmed to the 18 yet, is he?
Let's face it, he's getting
it's worst kept secret in motorsports territory because who else is going to that seat at this point?
Yeah.
But I just don't. I'm trying to be nice here. He's got a lot of maturing if he is going to run in the Cup Series next year.
Yeah, the Cup drivers will not take kindly to his shenanigans.
Because he will get dropped if he does that by somebody. Kyle Busch is still going to be in the Cup Series next year, and he's got a bone to pick with Ty because that's who he might be losing his ride to.
Yeah,
I just think it's bad that you just, in any circumstances, taking out your teammate. That's the thing that really gets me. I can understand if it's, I can understand a bump and run. I can understand, full send down the inside. Just straight up turning him. That's your teammate, bro. That is the number one rule in motorsports. Do not wreck your teammate. And what does he do? He wrecks his teammate.
He just blatantly
Rosberg's
wrecks his teammate at that. Yeah.
It's like that's the number one rule, and he broke it. It's just, it doesn't sit well with me.
Who was mostly at fault for that?
What, Spain?
Yeah.
Rosberg? Yeah, because Rosberg ran Hamlin off, and it just
it was definitely
went crazy from there.
I mean, I don't know. You could say Nico ran him down. You could also say Hamilton didn't yield on the first lap, but then again, Hamilton he doesn't really yield if he has an opportunity. So,
I mean, they were side by side. He had to leave him the space.
Yeah,
he's got to leave the space.
Fernando, leave it the space.
Yeah, but we will see.
Well, it's Kyle Busch's final ride in the 18 this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
A
miss him in the 18.
a very storied run comes to an end.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be coming to an end like this, but JGR, they've got this is ironic to say before we move on, they have some come to Jesus moments they need to have during the off season about what they do.
I still think they need to pull a Hendrick and invest in the future a little bit more.
Well, I think
Well,
that's what they're doing with the 18.
Uh,
yeah, but they've burned so many bridges to get Ty
really,
that ride. From what
yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Well, who's going to want to race for him now?
Who's gonna want to be his teammate? I'm like, yeah, this guy dumps his teammates. Yeah, I wouldn't want a teammate either.
No. We'll see. He's got some maturing to do. Hopefully he can mature quicker. But
We'll see.
yeah, we will see. So we go into Phoenix. NASCAR will wrap up the championships. Xfinity, Truck, and NASCAR will be decided. My picks for all three, I've got Zane Smith winning Trucks. Sam Mayer, I think, is going to be upset for Xfinity. Ross Chastain, I think, is going to win in Cup. The Cup races are nearest the win picks, and you already heard those. But just to reiterate, I'm taking Chastain. Chris, you are taking Bell. Michael, who are you taking again?
I hope I don't jinx him, but I'm also gonna take Bell. I want to see the 20 win a championship again.
We'll see what happens. We will end the season, and next week we will wrap up the NASCAR season and this year in the extra mile. Phil Spain, you've seen him on Twitter, great member of the Bubba Gang, will be joining us next week to wrap up the NASCAR season and talk more some other motorsports as well. So make sure you keep it locked in for that.
One more thing. A former NASCAR legend has made an investment into Richard Petty Motorsports or Petty GMS.
Jimmy Johnson is back. He's going to be a part owner in Petty GMS, run some select races next season. He's not coming back for a full-time effort. What do we think of – what are realistic expectations? I will say this. What is realistic for Jimmy Johnson in this comeback?
I think he just wants to take on an ownership role and also maybe have some fun on track a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 7-time champion. What else does he? He doesn't have anything to prove, really.
I'm surprised to see Jimmy coming back to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure that we were going to get kind of like a Jimmy Johnson does all sorts of motorsports all over the world type of deal, and I'm in a weird sort of way, I'm disappointed to see him coming back to NASCAR.
Yeah, I thought he would, do all sorts of different things and appear in all different sorts of events, like maybe Le Mans, maybe V8 Supercars, maybe all types of different series, and then he just comes back.
Well, I don't think he's going to be running a bunch of NASCAR races. The way it sounds, it doesn't sound like he's going to be doing like half the season. So he'll have more than enough time to run whatever. I think his realistic is just finishing on the lead lap. I think that's a realistic expectation. But I'm not going to be spilling milk if he doesn't. I mean, the man's going in the Hall of Fame. And nothing he does in the spot starts for the team he owns is going to change any of that. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest of all time. That's not changing. So with that being said, I guess we can get ready to close out. Of course, last opportunity for nearest the win. Hashtag nearest the win with who you think is going to win in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship this year. We will see how that race wraps up. Cannot wait to see how this race wraps up in Phoenix. Going to be fun. Going to be sad, though, to end what has been an extremely competitive NASCAR season. But that is trigger flagging this episode of the Extra Mile. Remember, Michael's at Michael Ward 25 on Twitter. Chris is at Fiji Sims. I'm at DK Junior 12. Make sure you follow all of our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, you can listen to it wherever podcasts are found, and the YouTube repository, which has a copy of literally every episode we have ever had on the network. So make sure you check that out. Next week, we wrap up the season. It has been so fun doing this with you all. This has been The Extra Mile. For Michael and Chris, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much. See you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.